Hello again, I am Jim Bob. Welcome back to American Outback, and times are changing here on American Outback. We're freshening up our equipment roster a little bit, so you'll see straight away that our little TriStar, or Twin Star, sorry, is gone, and we've replaced it with a barrel core. And I have also bought a dolly and a second grain trailer, as you can see. And I needed the extra grunt and the extra trailer because I have sold pretty much all of our grain. We've got about 8,000 litres left in wheat, and that's it. Everything else has been sold, and at the best possible price that I could get for it. I've done this over a period of a couple of different game days, so it's having 4 sell points has been quite good because we've had the ability to get a decent price at pretty much any time. Need to change this as part of the update. It's reset the colour on the base of our bale trailer here, so I need to reset that at some point. We'll do that in a moment. And I've also just purchased a Case Quadtrack. The Big Bud 450 is gone. Once it finished cultivating our new field 4-5 in the bottom right corner of the map, I cleaned everything up, put the equipment away, brought the 450 up here and sold it. So we now have a Case Quadtrack on the farm instead. Gives us a little bit more power, 525 horsepower with this thing. And I've been wanting one of these for quite some time. And we still have a fair bit of money left as well. We have 350,000. So I am considering getting a Challenger as well, because it'd be nice to get something a little bit different. And we haven't used Challenger on any of our farms yet, and it kind of ties in with the sort of American feel to this map. So the only question is, do we go with a standard Challenger, or do we go with a Field Viper? And I really like the Field Viper. I'm not so fussed on these two, but I do really like the Field Viper. So I think we might well go with that. And again, we'll just go with a basic engine setup. We don't need any more power than that just yet. So let's think about this. Yes, we'll buy the Field Viper. There we go. So there we go. 2 new vehicles making their way onto American Outback for us. And we have a little bit of money left over. However, as much as I love it, the Challenger does not work well with the seeder that we have, and isn't quite powerful enough to pull the cultivator that we currently have. This horse cultivator requires 400 horsepower, and while this only needs 280 and can easily be managed, handling attached to this thing when using the Challenger is horrible. The tractor gets pulled all over the place, and these wheels cause issues with the tracks when it comes to turning as well. So we can't really use this with the Challenger. We can, though, use it with either of our other 2 tractors that we have. We can use it just about with our Puma, which has 270 horsepower, and our Optum, which has, I think, 288. Actually, no, this has been uprated, so it's got, I think, 313 or something like that, 330. So we can definitely use either of those 2 tractors to use our Great Plains seeder as well. So we're quite good in that department. What I do also want to get is, if I can afford it, I don't think I can. No, I can't. I wanted to get one of those as well. We have no more money left. We have nothing left to sell, and we have no more loan left. That's maxed out completely. So we can't quite get the seed tank at the moment, but we will be getting that very, very soon. And that's so that we can combine it with our Great Plains seeder and triple the capacity of this from a little under 6,000 to around 15,000. Well, let's get our new equipment home and then start getting it put to work. I thought Well, on the drive back, I thought, well, maybe we can uprate the engine on our Challenger. We've still got some money left, and it's not that expensive. It's only going to cost us an extra 13.5 grand to push us over 410 horsepower. So we're going to go ahead and do that. There we go. And now what we can do is we can actually use this with our cultivator. Gives us a little bit more flexibility, so we don't have to rely purely on using our Quadtrack for that. There we go. So let's get this guy put to work straight away. We have plenty of fields that actually need cultivating. And we're going to get our Quadtrack put to work, even though it's way more powerful than we need. You know, it's a new toy and I want to use it. So we're going to get that to run our seeder. And the first thing we're going to go and do is seed fields 4 and 5 that have been combined, you know, in the far corner of the map. And let's get this lined up. We'll probably end up replacing this cultivator now as well in the future. You know, it worked quite well as a big bud kind of substitute, but now that we no longer have the big bud, we no longer need such a heavy cultivator. We can look at getting something a little bit better, a little bit more efficient for us. So that's that up and running. Let's move our Quadtrack down to the farm and get started with this guy as well. Okay, so the weather is starting to turn. It's starting to look a little bit nasty. Won't affect us while we're doing our cultivating or our seeding, so that's not a problem. And I'm going to seed this field myself. You know, a while back, one of my viewers asked me if I could show them how to use ridge markers, and I keep forgetting to do it. So we're going to do that in this episode. I'm going to sort of do a little, you know, ridge marker show off. So what I like to do is I like to try and find a nice straightforward line to follow. And you can see we've got these two lines in front of us, you know, that we can kind of keep our tracks between as a guide for our, you know, starting off. So let's unfold our ridge marker. There we go. Lower our seeder, turn it on. And our ridge marker is basically just going to draw a nice straight line for us to follow as a guide. So as long as we don't move too much, you can see there, because we twitched, it actually changed where the line was drawing. As long as we stay driving in a pretty much straight line, that line that we're creating with our ridge marker will stay pretty straight as well. So the hardest part of ridge marking is always that first pass, getting that line and keeping it as straight as possible, because that's going to be our guideline for the rest of the field. Every time we go up or down the field, we're going to be following the line that we are creating just here. You can see we're drifting ever so slightly there. There we go. We want to get to the end of the field, like so. We're going to pop to our other ridge marker. Oh, this thing does not like turning this seeder. And now we're going to use this as our guideline, so we can actually do this in cab and try and hold a straight line all the way down. We don't actually have like a a really clear indicator of exactly where the centre of the hood is. It's, you know, a thin sort of peak, which makes it a little bit trickier to see. But most tractors will have some kind of visual indicator at the, you know, in the centre of where their tractor is. That's quite clear and easy to see. This one we're kind of winging it a little bit. You can see what we're doing now is we're creating a new ridge, and that's the guideline that we're going to follow on the next pass. And we just keep doing that and keep doing that basically. So it can sometimes take a pass or two to get everything sort of lined up properly. But the plan is that if we follow this ridge line that we are putting down, let's get a bit more light on the situation. We will have just the thinnest of thin overlaps with our seed, so we're not wasting motion, and we have a nice straightforward line for us to follow for planting the next line of seed without leaving any gaps between what we're, you know, each of our passes. That is the theory of ridge marking, and depending on the setup that you're using, the equipment that you're using, it can work really, really well. This tractor is probably not the best designed for this. As I said, you know, there's no straightforward indicator exactly where the centre of the nose is. You know, it's a little bit harder to tell. But you basically just want to keep following your ridges like this and laying down fresh ridges on the side. Just be very careful if you are doing ridge marking to make sure that you do actually switch your ridge marker over at the end of the pass for the for when you turn around and come back up the field, because if you put your ridge marker through the seed that you've just laid down, which, you know, does happen from time to time, then, you know, you're ripping up the seed that you're putting down, and you'll have to go over it again with a new pass. So there we go. That's ridge marking, nice and straightforward. So I've hired a worker just to take over the field while we talk about mod news. So yesterday I stated in Big Bud Farm that the Joskin Wago pack that are currently in testing was an update for the Black Sheep modded low loaders, and I was actually wrong in this. They are separate bale trailers. They're made by somebody else. I'm not entirely sure who just yet. I'll have to look into that a little bit further, but they are not the low loaders that I currently thought, you know, I previously assumed that they were. So my bad on that one. Apologies if I confused anybody there. So they are new mods rather than updates to existing mods. But today we also had the addition into the testing thread of the Fendt 800 favourite by Smetty, and I'm really looking forward to this one. This is one of the ones that I've been hoping was going to come to console. This was obviously an entry in the 2017 mod contest and did very well, and as a result Smetty actually was able to submit a DLC proposal, which we'll talk about in just a second. But yeah, the favourite is an awesome looking sort of late 80s, early 90s style tractor. Really looking forward to that. It's going to be a welcome addition to Fendt Farm when it finally arrives on console. And I also posted on my page on Monday that about the cut-off date for DLC proposal submissions, and those submissions are now available on the Giants forum. I'll link the thread where I talk about them on my Facebook page, where you can go and actually see the different proposals, and you can actually rate each proposal out of up to 5 stars to kind of help Giants decide which one they want to actually back and go with. There are 8 proposals to choose from. One of them is obviously by Smetty, and he is submitting a Fendt pack, which looks to be absolutely awesome. Loads and loads of really cool various different different Fendts in there. I'm just pulling up the details of that for you right now. Where is it? Here we go, the Fendt expansion. So his proposal is a Fendt 900 TMS Vario, a Fendt 800 Vario, a Fendt 900 Favourite Vario, a 500 Favourite, a 500 Xylon, which looks awesome, complete with some special tools and a couple of weights as well to go with that. And that's the Fendt proposal that Smetty has submitted. Details of what those tractors look like and the different engine configurations and options are all there in the proposal, so do go check that out. The other proposals that we have, and apologies if you can hear some background noise there, it's raining, and when it rains it gets very loud in my room. We have from Mapper's Paradise, he has put forward a Bavarian map proposal. Some really nice screenshots of some little bits that he's already worked on, I think, and some, what his plans are for that map. There's a letter of intent as a submission from Frontier Design, which is the newly formed team of Bullet Bill and Oxygen David. They have submitted a letter of intent kind of proposal. No real images that they've been able to show us, just a letter stating the kind of things that they want to add into the map and how it's the kind of setting it's going to be in, and that's called Sunset Valley. Again, you can read those details on the link. Matt XJS has submitted a Modern Classics pack where he plans to do a Massey Ferguson 3000 series, a Case Maxim 5100 series, a JCB Fast Track 100 series, a Fendt Favourite 500C series, and a forage wagon from Krona, as well as a Kvernland plough, a Amazona seeder, an Amazona sprayer, a Strautmann manure spreader, and a Krona mower and Krona baler. So that's his submission for the DLC pack. Team FSI Modding have come up with a Grimmer pack as their DSI, their DLC proposal. They are putting forward a couple of different potato planters, a couple of different weeders for working potatoes, a couple of windrow harvesters which actually look pretty cool, and then a bunker harvester to go behind that as well, and a scooper conveyor system with a box filler and a storage shed system as well. So very much a potato theme for that particular pack. Team Wild have put forward a harvest equipment pack which has caught a lot of people's eye, because the very first thing is a Big M, a Krona Big M, and of course everyone on console has been crying out for a Big M for a long time. So that's part of their proposal, along with a Krona forage wagon as well, and then a Flegel tipper system which looks as though it can have multiple different configurations, which looks quite interesting. From Pottinger, they are also putting forward a windrower and forage wagon. From Strautmann, they are putting forward a tipper trailer and some small tippers from Brantner as well. So some really interesting equipment in that one. VNSFDG2 has put forward an equipment pack which is a combination of slurry tankers, manure spreaders and mix wagons from Pomot and from Euromilk as well. So some interesting equipment sort of in that one there. It's kind of hard to explain. There's a couple of gaps where it looks like equipment hasn't quite been finalised as to what they're going to do. There's also what looks to be maybe a bale blower of some kind, maybe a manure spreader, a couple of feeder wagons, and say some slurry tankers. So some interesting stuff in that pack there. And DD Mod Passion has put forward their Machio Gaspado DLC pack that they created as their mod entry. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same as what was actually submitted, or whether there's some changes in there. But this is a series of cultivators, ploughs, seeders, mowers, baler, windrower and a tedder. and there's some really nice looking pieces of equipment in there. But this is kind of like it looks in a way very similar to some of the stuff that we got with the Coon Pack. So looks to be very, very nice stuff. I don't know how popular that one's going to be because we already have a lot of tools available. That one might not get as many votes as other people. So yeah, loads and loads of stuff to have a look at. Do go and have a look at the link. I'll put it in the description on the video down below. Please do go check out those links and pay some attention to the mod DLC proposals, because our voice will help Giants decide which one they want to back and actually turn into a commercial DLC. So your voice does matter. If you are using a mobile and you want to try and view that, view those packs, you will need to have an Adobe reader of some kind on your phone, and you will also probably need to have Chrome installed on your phone to be able to open the links, because regular browsers that use like Opera don't tend to work very well. I can't speak for Safari because I don't have an iPhone. I use Android myself, but Chrome works fine. You'll be able to open those links, and then so as long as you have an Adobe reader of some kind, you'll be able to actually view the packs as well. And there's a little survey. It's like a list of each of the 8 things, the 8 submissions, with a rating section next to it for 1 to 5 stars, where you can rate all 8 packs, in your order of preference. Which ones that you think are 5 stars, which ones you think are 4 or 3 or 2 or 1, or so on and so forth. And say all of those results will kind of tally up, and Giants will look at that, and that will help them to determine which pack they decide to actually go with and create a commercial DLC for. So, like I said, do check that link out. Do visit the forum and let your voice be heard on that. Just finishing off planting soybean here on field 6. There we go. That's the last of that field done. So we'll get everything folded up. And now we're going to go and plant some grass on field 2. We're going to turn that into a permanent grass field. Fields 119 and 20. I'm going to put sunflowers on those 2 fields. And then 6 and 4 and 5. Those fields are currently now loaded with soybean. It's time to kind of rebuild our stock on those things. We sold all of our grain pretty much. But by making this a grass field right next to our farm, it means we can start to fill up our silage bunker, which is something we need to do because we are running very, very low on animal food again. So we're going to need the ability to create, a lot of bales, because we have, a lot of cows now, and they're going to start chewing through that. Oh, change the seed. Oh, this doesn't plant grass, does it? Oh, I completely forgot about that. Okay, we don't have another seeder. We'll have to come back to this field. So let's do sunflowers instead. So let's get folded up. We'll go refill the seeder, and we'll have to come back with a lone seeder, a lease, to be able to plant grass on this field. I completely forgot this seeder will not plant grass. So a moment of foolishness there on my part. But yeah, I mean, given how many cows that we have, we're chewing through that food really quickly. We've got a nice stash of bales to, build up another supply of feed, reasonably quickly. But that won't last forever, and we need the ability to start replenishing those bales as and when we need to. Get this backed up a bit more. There we go. Oh, that was a bit too tight. It's a bit uncompromising at times, this seeder. It can be really difficult to position. But there we go, that should do it. Right, so once this is fully loaded, we're going to head over to field 20 and start laying down some sunflower on that field. As we finish off this field, you can see that the weather is starting to clear up. You know, the rain has stopped. Still a little bit cloudy, but it looks as though we are about to get some nice sunny weather. So there we go, finish the field. So get everything folded up, and it's time to start seeding on field 119. We may have to wait a little while, actually, get the cultivator go ahead a little bit further. We've got a much wider working width. That is a 10 metre working width. We have an 18 metre working width, so we'll cover double the ground that the cultivator can at almost the same speed as well. So we're probably going to hold off for another pass or two, let the cultivator do a little bit more work before we start seeding on this field. So what we can do in the meantime is, once we've got this lined up, we can hire a smaller seeder, put some grass down on field 2 and get that out of the way. And because we're leasing, we don't need anything fancy, we just need something small and cheap. So we're using this Combi-Line Cetera. Very small, cheap little seeder. It's only costing us about 600 bucks to lease for the day. And we're also going to buy a pallet of seed, actually. It'd be cheaper than using the tank to fill her up. Plus anything that gets left over, we can always that should be enough, actually. A couple of hundred. Let's go for 300, 400. There we go. That'll be enough seed. So we're only doing one small field. The rest of the seed we can actually put into our Great Plains seeder and top that up a little bit, which it may need, possibly. So let's get this set up on field 2 and start planting some grass. Okay, so here we are on field 2. Get lined up. There we go. Grass is selected, so let's get our worker off and planting grass for us. There we go. So I just thought I'd pop over and check on our greenhouses, and as you can see, we've run out of manure and we have very little water left. So our greenhouses definitely need some urgent attention. We've got no tomatoes growing whatsoever, just the stalks at the moment. So we're going to need to get some more manure. We have a little bit left around the corner, but that probably won't be enough for both of our greenhouses. So we'll have to fill up our truck and put some more manure in that. And we'll also need to get some more water and top our water tanks up. So once we finish planting the grass, we'll repurpose our Puma over here and sort out our greenhouses. Something else that's going to need a bit of attention in the not too distant future as well is our cows. As you can see, we are running very low on power food, so we're going to have to mix up some more of that very, very soon. They are currently producing around about $40,000 or a little over $40,000 a day in milk costs or milk money, which is fantastic considering that they're only costing us around 3,500 in animal upkeep costs. So making quite a nice tidy bit of profit. And as you can see, we're getting a lot of slurry and a lot of manure off these guys as well now. So adding those extra cows in a few episodes ago has definitely helped. We're getting a much faster reproduction rate than we were, and we're making a lot more money and a lot more byproduct at the same time. So that's something else we're going to have to look at very soon as well. Alright, it looks like we put enough distance between our Challenger and our waiting Quadtrack, so let's get this started and get our sunflower seeding operation underway on field 119, and hopefully they're not going to get in each other's way. So we're on to the final little strip on this field when it comes to cultivating. Let's see how our Challenger handles in manual mode. You can see it's at a slight angle like that because of the ground response mod. We try and get onto slightly more level ground. You'll see that we kind of level up again. There we go. I do love the ground response. It's brought so much extra, for console users. And it's a really nice cabin in here. Loads of visibility. There's the pillars are really small. Loads and loads of viewing angles. I love the layout in here as well. It's really really nice place to be inside the cabin of one of these things. It is drifting just a little bit. That plough, that cultivator is a little bit heavy for this tractor. It's powerful, but it's not that big. So you will see that it does just start to drift. And I have to kind of fight it a little bit. There we go. So it's drifting again. Oh, we have a great demand for barley. We sold all our barley. Oh, no. Let's see. Let's put the worker back on. How good is that great demand? It's actually less than I sold my barley for, I think. You can see we've had a potato great demand for a while, which is completely pointless to us, worthless to us, because we don't have potatoes. And that price at Outback is falling already. So, yeah, not the end of the world that we're missing out on that great demand on barley, because I think we actually got a slightly better price than that when I sold all my barley in the middle of the night. I'm pretty sure it was somewhere around 700 when I was selling my barley. So we kind of haven't really lost out in that respect, which is kind of cool. Where is our seeder? Oh, he's at the top of the field. There he is. I can see him turning around. Look. So we made the right decision to actually give them a little bit more space, so they didn't collide into each other. You can see getting very, very close. Another pass, and they would have been, getting in each other's way. See if we can get a nice screenshot out of this. Oh, and we've run out of seed. That'll be the grass seeder. Wow, I honestly thought we were being a little bit generous with 400 seed. Alright, we're going to cancel that worker before he starts chewing up the seed that's been laid down. Let's park up just here. So, are we really out of seed? We are. Wow, I honestly thought we would be fine. That is something of a shock. But we've got plenty of seed left in our Great Plains seeder to actually finish that field off. So we may as well go and get the rest of that. Actually, no, because we're only going to need to use a tiny little bit of it. Let's just fill this up at our seed tank over here. Might as well. And then we'll use up the rest of the seed in the grab bag at the store, just to top up our Great Plains seeder when it's finished. I still can't believe we actually used up 400 seed of grass and didn't even finish that field off. A couple of hundred should do it. We've done about 2/3 of the field, so that'll do. 250. Oh, look at that, bang on 250. That'll be enough. Or it should be enough. It better be enough. There we go. And actually, because we still need the Puma, let's get this seeder lined up. Yeah, that's about right. We still need the Puma because we have to do our greenhouse work, so let's bring the Optum over. Get the Optum to finish that field off for us, because we don't have front loader attachment on this, so we can't use this for the greenhouses, and despite it being massively overpowered for the job I'm asking it to do, it does free up the Puma so that we can actually start shoveling all that manure. There we go. So, grass field will continue getting seeded. We're almost done seeding sunflowers. Got plenty of seed left. One more pass should do it. So let's go work on our greenhouses. Alright, here we are then. I actually brought a scoop of poop with me because I just wasn't 100% convinced that we'd have enough, and I should have brought the weight. I thought the weighted wheels would be enough. I keep forgetting to do that, so probably have to bring a weight and store it up here. That's that one done. Let's see. How much manure do we actually have over here? Yeah, I'm not convinced that we would have actually had enough to do both greenhouses, so it looks like we made the right decision to bring that scoop of poop with us. Maybe we would. Let's find out how much we've got left. Need to kind of tidy that area up a little bit. What I want to do is try and create a little poop shed somewhere as well, so we'll work on something. I've been trying to think of a reason for, or you know, a reason, but something to actually use slow haul extendable with, and this might be perfect to create a little manure hut next to these two greenhouses. We don't have the money for it just yet, but we're not too far off. So let's drop that like that. I don't think it'll compact if I drive over it. No, it won't. Let's get this last little bit here before we lose it in the undergrowth. Oh, tipping angle's wrong. There we go. I think we've recovered all of the poop. There we go. So, water next. Make sure that they're fully topped up. I have no idea how much water is actually left in here. It'll be enough, I'm pretty sure, to actually fill up the 2 greenhouses, but beyond that, now we've got 15,000 litres, so we're good for a little while before we have to top this trailer up again. No, that'll make it easier. Just raise the fork up. In theory, it'll make it easier. Oh, we're hooked. There we go. Let's get it way up in the air, out of the way. That's better. Oh, still driving into everything. Alright. There we go. So greenhouse number 1 is done. Let's do greenhouse number 2. Alright, there we go. Fantastic. That's our greenhouses taken care of. And they'll start making us some decent money again. Alright, can we fit our Quadtrack in here? I hope so. Yes, just. Beautiful. There we go. So, our new Quadtrack back on the farm. Let's just turn the hazards off on that, or the beacon, sorry. Let's give it a quick wash down. Clean up those tracks. There it is, our big, shiny, big red tractor. Right, now we need to bring the Challenger home. Has our worker finished on field 2? Yes, fantastic. So everything's seeded. We have sunflowers on field 119 and on field 20. We have grass that's starting to grow on field 2. And then field 6 and field 45, they have soybean. So we have 2 separate crops across 2 sort of different sides of the map that we can bring in at some point soon. We're going to need to obviously get those fertilized, so we'll get on that in the next episode. We're also going to need to obviously take care of our cows. They are starting to get very, very hungry, so we'll also deal with that in the next episode as well. But we've taken care of our fields, got them planted, got them cleaned and ready with the cultivator as well. We've done our greenhouses, so we've made some good progress, and obviously we've brought in 2 new pieces of equipment as well. The Quadtrack that you saw a moment ago, and this wonderful little track Challenger as well. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Thanks very much for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I will catch you back on the farm very soon.